Alright, this is meshing and volume calculations, part 1 of 3. If you're working with Cyclone Survey or Cyclone Model, you're going to have very powerful and helpful tools when it comes to meshing. There are many different ways to create a mesh. In this video tutorial, I'm going to go over 3 different techniques. The first technique is to place a single pick point on the point cloud, this of a stockpile. Go to Tools, Mesh, Create Mesh, and then 10 up facing direction. Give it a little time to process, and boom, your mesh is now created. Very nice. So let's take a look at wireframe. And a problem you may notice in wireframe is that because we use so many points to create this mesh, it's going to be highly irregular, too many faces to deal with. It's not a problem. We'll go to Tools, Mesh, Decimate Mesh, and we can either change the percentage right here, or we can hit the decimate button, which will now bring up a dialog box with a dial. We can dial it down to the appropriate level we want to work with. Once you're satisfied with the amount of faces you see, just hit OK, and technique 1 complete. A second technique I'm going to go over is creating a mesh from points on grid. So first step is to fence in the area that you want to perform points on grid. Once your fence is complete, again go to Tools, but this time points on grid. So let's give it a grid spacing of 10 feet. And then we can give it a starting point number and a feature code, but those two things are not necessary. Hit Place Points. This warning box will appear because our points on the stockpile are going to appear so far away from the grid. You'll see how many points it found. Hit Close, the grid disappears, and now we can inspect how well it performed points on grid. So let's turn off the point cloud, and this way we get that 10-foot spacing and there's no need to decimate. So now we'll fence in all those points. Hit Shift F for Select Fence, Tools, Mesh, we've done this before, Create Mesh, 10 up facing direction, and once again we've created a mesh. Very nice. So let's take a look at wireframe. So you'll notice now, because we did points on grid, we set up the spacing, that it's much more uniform. If this is overkill for you, you could have entered in values of 25, 50, 100-foot spacing, whatever's best for your application. So that's technique 2. Alright, on to our final technique, which is going to actually be to hand pick the points that we will convert into vertices and then create a mesh from those vertices. This is really only helpful for creating a ground surface that we're actually going to use in part 3 for volume calculations. It would not be efficient to hand pick the points for the stockpile to then create a mesh out of. So I'm just going around the perimeter of this stockpile using the Smart Pick View ground point until I've been all the way around. Then I'll go to Create Object from Pick Points, Vertex, and then all those pick points will become vertices. So we'll now fence all those vertices and select Fence, and then go to Tools, Mesh, Create Mesh, 10. Alright, and turn the mesh back on, and you'll see both meshes we've created, one in wireframe and also our surface. It's helpful to have these on 2 different layers for our upcoming part 3 volume calculations. Don't forget to check out part 2 and 3 of meshing. Thank you.